Oftentimes in fandoms, you will run into the fake fan problem, which are people who come into a different fan community, an established fan community, people who like a certain franchise or thing, people who are nerds for a certain franchise or thing. And at first, it's great. Oh, yeah, new fan, great. New person, welcome, new friend, awesome. And as time goes on, it becomes very clear that they were never there to actually be a fan of that thing. They were using that thing for attention. All the time. Over the years with gaming, one of the more popular things were certain attractive women would go and they would stream playing games, and the webcam would be bigger than the games, and the focus would be on the girl and everything the girl said, everything the girl did, and the game was just kind of there in the background. But don't worry, they're totally gamers. They totally love the franchise. There's totally organic discussions happening in the comment sections about different characters, potential sequels, about the developer, different things that are coming along, what people are excited to be playing. Totally. It's not just, oh, attractive woman, here's some money. That's a phenomenon that has annoyed me for years, because gaming has no barrier of entry other than, can you play a video game? People aren't trying to gatekeep women out of gaming. There are plenty of women who are authentic gamers, authentic streamers, and those are the ones who I support. I don't support the people who just sit there and they either have somebody else play for them, or they are just being completely fake the entire time. They have no understanding of gaming. They don't want to understand gaming. They want to talk about something completely unrelated. The gaming is just there for people's attention and to draw attention to them on top of their own looks. It's annoying, but it's something that most of these streaming platforms not only allow, but they encourage. And so the real gamers, both men and women, get put to the backside. And guys do this too. There are guys who do this all the time, and they end up massive streamers. But being a gamer is special because gamers were largely ostracized for many years. I can't tell you how many people would say how stupid gaming was, how much of a waste of time it was, waste of time, waste of money, antisocial, all of these sorts of things. And so finally, when it becomes socially acceptable and popular, people who have always done it and have continued to support the hobby because it brings them joy, all of a sudden they're being pushed out of their hobbies by people who are being fake. And the people who are being fake are being pandered to by the gaming companies. Because now the gaming companies aren't being run by fans either, by people who genuinely learned how to develop games and were always into gaming. No, they're just throwing in people who don't care. That's why gaming is terrible. That's why entertainment is terrible, because it's not made by people who care about established franchises and telling good stories and all of that. Fake fans have been a problem for a long time. Anime is just now starting to get into that. Now, you can argue that maybe they've had it for years, but just as of recently, there's been a lot of fake anime fans popping up. And I am not a huge anime fan. I am a casual. I grew up with Toonami, so that's where it started for me. But there's a lot of anime that I haven't seen and I haven't taken the time to see because I just either am not interested or there's just too much out there. But even I understand, as somebody who went through it in the gaming community and is seeing it happen to the comics community, the problem of the fake fan is really demoralizing because, no, you don't want to keep people from enjoying something genuinely, but you don't want these people coming in and trying to trash your hobby. They say they're fans, but then when they're talking about and reviewing different things, they talk about how racist and sexist and homophobic and misogynistic everything is. They're constantly complaining about that, and yet the fans are there telling them, no, that's not what this thing is. You don't understand what this thing is. And it's especially true with anime. They call them tourists over there, and I think that phrase is starting to expand to greater fandoms as a whole for fake fans. People who just, they go into what's popular, but they don't have any clue what it is, nor do they want to understand. They're disgusted by it. They don't see how it's popular, but they know it's popular, so they're going to fake being interested. And then they're going to profit off of that because they're going to get all their stream support with super chats and all of that stuff. It's a huge problem. And what we had to deal with for years was this spin on, you had feminists trying to come in and trying to make all of these nerdly hobbies about feminism, all the way up to Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy. Whereas there were already women in these hobbies enjoying them, and now you're ruining their enjoyment because you're changing the thing that they loved ever since they were young. People weren't gatekeeping women out. I've never heard... I think it was like Amelia Clark who said she made a comic book because she was being told women can't enjoy comic books, they can't go into comic shops, and I never bought that. I never understood that. I think it was Amelia Clark. I don't know. It might have been somebody else. I'm pretty sure it was Amelia Clark when she came out with some comic book that didn't do well as a result of all that posturing. But I've never seen that. I've seen both men and women in comic shops, in game shops, who authentically enjoy these things. These people don't live in reality. They just want everything to conform to their worldview. And they're trying to use what is already established and beloved to force their worldview onto others. And it is a massive problem because people are just trying to escape all of that. They're trying to escape the onslaught of left versus right and feminism versus I don't know, what do you call manism, or I don't know, manosphere. I don't know. People are just trying to get away from that. They're trying to enjoy something neutrally. And then they get excoriated by people who make that abundantly clear. You had I think it was Gail Simone who came out and said, you know, she was complaining about people saying they didn't want politics in their comic books, and she said, well, don't read my comic books then. And then they didn't. And they didn't. It was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. She was a feminist who just came into comics to make it about feminism. Plain and simple. She was never interested in just reading the stories for what they were and telling the stories in a way that honored what had already been established. And that's an example of what we're seeing throughout all of these different fandoms. And it's annoying. It's especially annoying because when it's something like women or people of color, I'm a person of color, technically. At least I think I am. I think... Am I? What? Anyways, it's annoying when it's women or people of color or any sort of marginalized group, and they collectivize us together, and then they say everything has to cater to us because we have been oppressed. I haven't been oppressed a day in my life because of my skin color. I don't know women who have been oppressed a day in their life because they're women. I'm just so tired of it. I'm effectively being used by virtue of my ethnicity. I'm being used to ruin hobbies. And I always have to make it clear to people, I don't agree with any of these woke morons. I don't agree with this ideology because it's just victimhood on parade. Undeserved, by the way. It is victimhood on parade. And I can't help but wonder how many other people feel the same. I've seen multiple people who feel the same. People are rising up. They're fed up with this because these people are going into our hobbies, our beloved hobbies, and they are making them about victimhood and elevating people who have been victimized, whether they have been or not. They're just saying people have been victimized. If you're a woman, you've been gate-kept out of all of these hobbies, which isn't true. I personally have never gate-kept a woman out of video games or comic books or anything that I like because she's a woman. You can gatekeep people out who don't enjoy the hobby, who aren't there to enjoy the hobby, but they're trying to make it about politics, about feminism, about identity politics. People don't want that, but it's been happening. And then every time the fans push back, the people who aren't fans go, well, you're not real fans. It's just this endless stream of nonsense over and over again. And it makes people just drop the franchises. No, I don't care. I'm not gonna buy the new Star Wars because, number one, it sucks, but number two, I'm being told by people who haven't been fans of this thing that I'm a horrible fan, and that I'm being called all sorts of names that I was never called when I enjoyed this thing before, even though I'm not guilty of these things. No, it's not worth the headache anymore. And people are walking away. Men, women, children. People are walking away. Franchises like Star Wars, comic books like Marvel and DC, they're all doing terrible because they're being invaded by these fake fans. These fake fans who are making it about everything but what the thing that they're working on is actually about, or the thing that they're a fan of is actually about. And it's tiring. It's really tiring. People are tired of wokeness in media. They really are. You see it all the time. And then you see people trying to say, well, what even is wokeness? You know, what you people complain about wokeness. People have described it multiple times. It is this idea that you need to elevate marginalized peoples or victimized peoples. You need to elevate them. You need to put them on a pedestal over everybody else. It's lowering, effectively, it's lowering anything majority white or straight or traditional, and elevating everything else. Whereas the way we used to do it back in the day was we elevated everybody. Sometimes people did it in their own groups, sometimes people did it together, but we elevated everybody. We didn't elevate anybody over anybody else. We didn't have people crying victimhood in the streets. We didn't have people crying racism, sexism, homophobia all the time. We just depicted these people in media as normal people doing normal things, and it was fine. The Winslow family and Family Matters wasn't crying about racism all the time. They had, I think, 1 or 2 episodes dealing with racial discrimination, and that was it. The rest of it was them just being a family and dealing with the issues of being a family, and everybody, regardless of if they were black or not, enjoyed it. And that's what it should be. That's what people are asking for. But that's what Hollywood and all these companies refuse to do, because they're hiring fake fans. They're hiring people who are obsessed with identity politics, who are obsessed with wokeness and elevating people and claiming victimhood on people's behalf and all of this garbage. That's all they're doing. And people are just tired of it. But it's causing so many problems. And these franchises are losing money because people don't want to spend money on a franchise that's going to preach to them about how bad the world is and how they should be concerned about how bad the world is. They're going to escape from the world, not to be reminded of the world. It's so simple, and yet these companies refuse to understand that. They absolutely refuse. And so, what do I think is the solution to the fake fan? I think the solution is honest gatekeeping. And that sounds like a horrible term. But think about it this way. These people are not fans. They were never fans. It doesn't matter what they look like, doesn't matter what their gender, what their sexuality, what their whatever. If they're not there to enjoy the thing for what it is, why are they there? Why are they constantly arguing with people who are trying to enjoy the things with what it is? Why are they there pointing out, well, I think this is a bit sexist or a bit racist or whatever? Why are they there starting those arguments? They don't need to be there. Most people don't look at classic Star Wars and go, this is istophobic, so therefore we need to make something new that isn't. Most people go, no, we enjoy this. We're not offended by this. Most normal people are not offended by these fun things that exist. So keep the people who are offended by those things out and tell them, go enjoy something that you're not offended by. We are going to be here enjoying these things. And if that happens to be majority in popularity, well, that's too bad. You need to learn to enjoy this for what it is. We don't want you here constantly trying to change these things that many of us have spent years and tons of money enjoying. We don't want you here stirring up trouble. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing racist, sexist, or homophobic about telling certain people who don't really want to be a part of something but force their way in to create problems to take a hike. If you're going to come into this thing, enjoy this thing like literally everybody else is doing. Don't come into this circle of fans who enjoy this thing and have enjoyed this thing and are not here to criticize this thing for the reasons you're here to criticize it for. Don't do that. If you're going to criticize this thing, start your own group to criticize it. Start your own group to criticize it, but it'll probably just be laughed at by authentic fans. But it doesn't mean you can't start it. But don't go into fan circles and try to tell them how horrible people they are because they like old Star Wars or Marvel and DC before the 2010s madness, before the whole Comicsgate controversy and everything else. Don't tell people that they're bad people for enjoying something. Everybody has to make their own choices in life. Not everybody's going to agree with your morals or your standard of ethics. And far too many people don't understand this because they're raging narcissists and the internet has only fueled their narcissism. Anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.